At 5:30 a.m., a woman in a lavender robe floated onto my porch like a dawn thief. Had not the spectral blink of a light in my bedroom window warned me, I would have spotted her not at all. Linda Hensley, our HOA president, was stooped over my mailbox, her purse laid open like a cat's maw, as she rifled through my mail with the gentle precision of a jeweler examining diamonds. She grabbed individual envelopes, stashed them in her purse, and tidily boxed the rest to appear untouched. What she didn't realize was that the spring wreath draped across my mailbox concealed a camera, and the white unmarked van parked 3 houses down had been trailing her for days. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill neighborhood soap opera. It was federal mail theft, and the trap was finally ready to spring. As Linda slid away from her picture-perfect Victorian, belting her robe shut, I felt a curious jolt of vindication and disbelief. For months, I'd been yelling into the void that I was missing mail. Vanished bills, missed packages, a sinking credit score because of payments I never made. Everyone thought I was crazy, but seeing Linda's morning routine from behind my blinds convinced me I was not losing my mind. I wasn't crazy. The postal inspector in the van had already reported it in. Within minutes, Linda's perfect world would come crashing down on that perfect, manicured lawn. 3 months earlier, I, Sarah Mitchell, had moved to Crestwood Estates upon landing a PR job at a downtown startup. The neighborhood shone. Newly mowed lawns, matching mailboxes, suburban paradise like something out of a real estate brochure. The agent had sung the praises of the HOA as a benefit. Landscaping perks, holiday events, rising property values. What she neglected to mention was Linda Hensley. Trouble showed up my first week. I never got my new debit card, last paycheck, or a key work contract. The post office promised that it had all been mailed out. The bank claimed they mailed the card. My boss resent the contract again by email. Humiliating. Then the bill stopped coming. The electricity company called about an initial notice I'd never seen. The same for the internet, car insurance, even a traffic ticket I'd forgotten about. By month 2, my credit was free falling, diving from late payments I'd never even seen. I started stalking my mailbox, hoping to accost the carrier herself. That's when I began paying attention to Linda. She'd stand in her driveway, sun hat sprawling across her forehead, gloves gleaming spotless. Never tending her garden, just glaring at me like a hawk. Late 50s, silver hair, upright posture. Her house was perfect. Flower beds as neatly arranged as soldiers, garbage cans standing with aesthetic deliberation. She at last smiled with ice on her lips and informed me that she was the president of the HOA. She gave me a thick tome entitled Community Standards, but really a manifesto. It dictated curtain hue, lawn height, holiday decorations, even the pitch of your mailbox. She underscored that her responsibility was to enforce compliance, citing infractions. My welcome mat was a 1/4 inch low, and a single fern wasn't on the approved list. I nodded, promised to fix it. But the way she uttered, "I keep an eye on everyone," made my spine tingle. From then on, she was everywhere, popping up the moment I went outside, complaining about my grass, the spot where I'd parked my car, the color of my wreath. And meanwhile, my mail issues just got worse. I followed things I never got: bills, packages, letters from friends. Only the junk mail slipped through, and the carrier's schedule made him nearly impossible to catch. Then one Saturday gardening, I bumped into Mr. Thompson, my older neighbor. He passed me a package that had been misdelivered and mentioned in passing he'd noticed Linda at my mailbox in the mornings. Thought she was being kind. Something snapped. Linda was not just nosy, she was faking it. I called the post office and was directed to Inspector Alvarez, who listened carefully. He informed me that mail theft is a federal crime and HOAs commonly become cover for it. He recommended a sting, and I was game. I possessed a camera disguised as a wreath ornament, motion and cloud capable. Days 1 through 3 went off without a hitch. The carrier, wandering neighbors, and Linda making her repeated sweeps. Day 4, 5:45 a.m., was it? Casually rummaging through my mailbox, grabbing bills, reworking the trash. I was watching the tape live at work. I was furious. I sent it to Alvarez. "This is going to be golden," he said, setting up the sting. Marked envelopes and a decoy package with tracking, proof they couldn't refuse. We scheduled it for the following week. Surveillance vans rolled in. I barely slept. Why would Linda, Crestwood perfection girl, send herself to prison? Was it about power or something evil? Tuesday rolled around. Decoy and tagged mail went out. Wednesday passed. Nothing. I fretted she'd discovered the sting. Alvarez told me to be patient. Then Thursday, 5:30 a.m., the cell phone rang. Linda, once again in her robe, was digging through my mailbox, grabbing the decoys and grabbing additional letters for disguise. When she had her back turned, the surveillance van pulled up. A few minutes later, shouts echoed down her drive. I sat in my living room and watched federal agents surround her porch. Linda flailed around frantically, pointing and screaming. One held up pilfered mail, reading her Miranda rights. Another photographed her shocked expression. The same woman who'd ruined my bank account was in handcuffs. The neighbors emerged from their homes. Mr. Thompson stood there with mouth agape. A family across the way muttered to each other. At 7 a.m., Alvarez had verified it. Linda had been arrested. Her basement, once a shrine to HOA beauty, was packed to capacity with stolen mail. In boxes categorized by address, years' worth. She'd hit dozens of houses, claiming she was on the lookout for suspicious behavior. But her cover stories were shredded by the evidence. Other neighbors came forward. Forgotten bills, medical test results lost, social security forms missing. The news splashed that afternoon. Linda's mugshot splashed across all channels. Her so-called community leadership was a sham. The night HOA meeting was in disarray. Apologetic board members gasped. Linda was removed and elections were mandated. Residents vented, some furious over her bullying, others devastated over what they'd lost. A man screamed, "She stole while lecturing on rules." We voted for installing community mailboxes, limiting board authority, and demanding transparency. The post office fixed my credit and forgave me. Alvarez confirmed Linda pleaded guilty. She faced 3 years, maybe more. Her basement hoard? 2 years for larceny, boxes, spreadsheets, stolen tax returns, identifications. She had sold social security numbers and bank data to identity theft rings. Charges were multiplying. Wire fraud, conspiracy. The FBI arrived. Damages totaled $200,000, plus the damage from stolen identities. Her diaries, lawfully taken, explained her motives. Her early ones presented her as a guardian, stealing to protect. Her later ones were loose, boasting of her power. She chose victims by time and mode of transport, an unsympathetic narcissist. Her subsequent psychiatrist reported she dominated compulsively. Even after her arrest, lawsuits stacked up against the HOA. Mrs. Lynn, a retired librarian, took over as interim president. She advocated reforms, background checks, term limits, outside audits. Property values increased. Buyers respected our vigilance. Cameras captured other crimes as well. Linda waited until her home sold fast. She had planned to flee, but sentencing loomed ahead. Prosecutors asked for 4 years, citing her breach of trust. Her $300,000 in hidden assets were forfeited and spent to compensate victims. Excerpts from her journals were training tools for postal inspectors and stoked national HOA watchdog debate. The neighbors banded together, enacting a neighborhood watch program. Linda's tumble, taped on camera during that early morning raid, showed one loud and clear: no individual is above the law. Her obsession with control eventually produced a better, more stable community. One she'll never control again.